Hello, everybody. So, the dreaded Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate took place last night, and I had the pleasure of watching it with a few friends in a Google Hangout. We actually decided to make the debate a drinking game, where we all drank every time Ken Ham said observational science or the Grand Canyon. As it turns out, it was a fairly terrible idea, as most of us were wasted 45 minutes into the discussion. Thank you, Dexter. But we put on some coffee, muted a couple of drunk people, and we soldiered on, of course. Now, I think we all had a pretty good idea that we were going to hear the standard creationist arguments in this debate, because creation science doesn't allow for any type of progression or innovation. Unless you count the creative fantasies it has to continually fabricate to rebut increasingly precise criticism it faces. Anyway, I confess I was a little worried about how Bill Nye was going to perform in the debate, because one-on-one public debate isn't exactly something he regularly engages in, especially with people as obtuse and academically / intellectually irresponsible as Ken Ham. But, even with that aspect looming like a giant cloud that ominously promises to obscure our observable reality with unapologetic fatuity, I think he did an excellent job in the debate. He stuck to his talking points, and he didn't get sucked into, the vortex of stupidity that's become such a permanent fixture around the creationist presence. He mentioned some of the many incontestable facts that exist surrounding our scientific appraisal of the age of the Earth, and must have summoned a Herculean daemon to help him resist correctly identifying Ken Ham as an unskilled, uncommonly ignorant charlatan who's made his fortune by scalping his counterfeit salvation to the desperate. Now, while the debate was entertaining, the only portion I was disappointed with, really, were the questions from the audience. Well, not even the questions, really. Actually, it was just how they were asked and how their answers were moderated. I think it gave Ken Ham the avenue he needed to evade having to answer and put the brakes on some much-needed clarity that could have been offered by Bill Nye. Now, it was apparent, at least to me it was anyway, that Bill was frustrated with not being able to directly address Mr. Ham, but I also think it was somewhat fortunate for him too, because it really did keep him on message. He wanted to make it clear that he cares about science education and that the United States especially needs engineers if we are going to face future challenges with skill and innovation. The icing was generously slathered onto the proverbial cake the following day, however, when Pat Robertson, of all people, mentioned the debate on his show by saying, let's face it, there was a Bishop Usher who added up the dates listed in Genesis, and he came up with the world had been around for 6,000 years. There ain't no way that's possible. To say that it all came about 6,000 years is just nonsense, and I think it's time we come off that stuff and say this isn't possible. Let's be real. Let's not make a joke of ourselves. Well said, Pat. When someone like Pat Robertson throws you under the God bus for being an ignorant knucklehead, you've reached a hitherto undiscovered substratum of theological bullshit. So, y'all take care.